Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Bears Den, a collaboration of War Media and Sports Zone Chicago. I'm your host, the Superback, Shawn Sierra, a.k.a. Greg, and I'm with my man, my co-host, Joe Tanksley. Joe, what's up, buddy? How are you this week?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm glad it's going to be Friday tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to the weekend.
You and me both. You and me both. The weather's going to get a little nicer,
Mhm.
okay? Gonna get warmed up. I might even go get my car washed. I was at the auto show last week, and
Uh-huh.
I got some new shines to shine for the dash. And they
Okay.
ran out of tire cleaners, but they said you can put this stuff on the dash, you can put it on the tires, it'll still give you that same wet, shiny look. So I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I bet. So I knew that,
Okay.
in reading and looking at the weather, I knew there was going to be a storm the last couple of days. I'm like, yeah, let me just wait until the
Uh-huh.
weekend. So tomorrow, yeah, oh yeah,
Time.
when
All
I on
right.
the way back from CrossFit, when I got that time in
Okay.
the morning, and
Uh-huh.
the car washes open up early. Man,
Mhm.
get the whip nice and clean. Can go back
Uh-huh.
outside, wipe the dash, put the stuff on the tires, and let it sit for the
All right. All right. All right.
big
Yeah,
pimping, big pimping.
Man, you mentioned the auto show. I haven't been in a long time.
What?
I haven't been. And that's something I got to get back to. I'm in the market for a new vehicle, so I probably should have taken advantage of it. So, maybe
Man,
next time. Yeah.
dude, I love the auto show, man.
Okay.
It's cool. Although this year it was not as entertaining. Who was it? Dodge, Jeep, and Chrysler didn't make it. They didn't show up this
Really?
year. Yeah, and
Okay.
that was really that was frustrating. That was
Yeah.
frustrating because that was a big. So it was much smaller. It was much
Okay.
smaller because it was huge before, and yeah, it was just. I was a little
You know what?
frustrated with it.
Yeah, I heard rumors about them coming out with an all electric with a charger. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of disappointed that they couldn't make it out. Considering they right there in Detroit. So.
Yeah, that is funny. But peep this. So at the I'm trying to waiting for it to upload. At the auto show, they had. Dude, I was fired up. This was pretty dope. This was pretty dope. Peep this. Uh, where'd you go? Where'd you go? They had the DeLorean.
Okay, the DeLorean, and
Yeah,
they had
as
the fancy skateboards too.
the hoverboards. Yep.
The hoverboard. Okay, all you
So I was
needed
in.
was the Nikes.
Right. That's right. I actually was wearing Nikes, but not the ones from the movie. Dude,
Right.
yeah, it was good, man. It was real good. That was really cool. See in the background, it's a DeLorean rental.
Uh
Dude,
huh.
I thought it was a great thing, man. That was dope. That was dope. It was pretty
Okay.
cool. So I had definitely had a good time. Good time. But let's get to some football, baby. Let's talk some Bears. NFL scouting combine is going on down in Indianapolis. Um, wow. It's RyanPoles Central. The Chicago Bears are front and center again.
Mhm.
They hold the number one pick. And the way that the rumor mill has gone from the Bears drafting Caleb,
Mhm.
okay, trading Justin Fields to the Bears, keeping Justin Fields,
Mhm.
trading the number one pick back to where it currently is, the Bears, keeping the
Mhm.
number one pick and trading Justin Fields.
Mhm.
And it's crazy.
Mhm.
I would say Ryan Poles is doing a phenomenal job of playing everything close to the vest. He's putting on a
Mhm.
master's class on how to be a GM.
Mhm.
Nothing is leaking out. And here's give me your thoughts. And then when you wrap it up, tell me what you think. Do you think they're going to keep Justin, or do you think they're going to draft Caleb?
See, here's the thing. For me, answering this question, what you have to put your own, what you want. And I have a hard time doing that because I am pro Justin. And when I sit back and look at the situation, I can, see, the reasons, for drafting, Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
We laid him out a few days ago. I think, Glenn Morgan did a very nice job of laying out all those scenarios as well as you. When you talk about the cap, resetting the salary cap, or not the salary cap, but, resetting the rookie contract scale, and doing those things. And then you get the possibility of getting a haul for that pick. Everybody wants to, say generational, generational, generational. And I have a hard time of labeling somebody a generational talent when they haven't played down a pro ball. I just can't do that. And so for me, I really don't know. I mean, and I think it's, due to the fact that, nothing is leaking out. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, he's done a, phenomenal job of, keeping everything in house. Everybody in Hallis Hall has been trained on how to not answer questions and not to give up information. And, I think, I think they're going to ultimately do what's best for the team. But I could definitely see them, say a situation, of them, drafting Caleb Williams. I do think, there's maybe some character things that they need to probably, get, cross the T's and dot the I's on, so to speak. Not like, nothing like last year, but, but there's some certain questions, that need to be answered regarding Caleb Williams. Is he really a football guy? Is he a team guy? Is he a person that's going to, make those sacrifices, week in and week out, to be great? It's one thing to have all those skills and that natural ability, and, people say he's a pure thrower of the football. This was coming out, as far as all the scouting reports and, the film watchers. But, those are things that need to be answered. Is he truly a guy that loves football and wants to be great at football? And I think that's ultimately what's going to, influence, RyanPoles' decision.
So short answer, long.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't. You know what? I didn't even really see. Look, I've been studying the RyanPoles, not answering questions.
You talking without saying anything, like the RyanPoles method?
Right. But you know what? More and more to me, I get the feeling that the Bears will draft Caleb Williams, and that's the sense that I'm getting. Is all the factors and with all the information that I've been hearing, it just feels that way to me. And when it's the things that they say, they're not, they're not going to hurt, the draft cap, the asset, because right now Justin is an asset, and they're not going to do anything to say to hurt that asset. But when they talk about the things that Justin has struggled with, and that keeps coming up, I think there's he's going to improve. I think Justin's going to be a star, but I think ultimately, GMs typically want to have their guy that they draft, and I think this is the moment that RyanPoles has been waiting for.
Well, they asked RyanPoles. Obviously, he's at the combine. She's front and center. They asked him on rookie a question about the rookie class coming out. Here's what he said:
This group of quarterbacks coming in. Yeah. What's your assessment?
Yeah, a dynamic group, all different flavors in this draft. There's guys that have all the talent and tools in the world. And it's up to us as a scouting staff to kind of see, do they have enough, and what's the internal part, what's the drive that they have, the leadership, because that's really, really important when you look at the history of quarterbacks. So it's a good group. So that's, again, it makes it very unique.
So see how unique, and that's all he kept saying. It's a unique situation, and good group. He's talking about it. And then Stacey Dayos, who does a great job, who's here. She works with the NFL Network, but lives here in Chicago. She asked him about Justin Fields. She said, what was his evaluation? Here's what he had to say.
What was your evaluation, really? Your biggest takeaways from him this past season?
Yeah, I think he grew. What I really like about how he grew this year was I feel like the game slowed down for him. Not only was he able to be dynamic with his legs, he was starting to approach the line of scrimmage with his eyes up and finding explosives down the field, which makes it really difficult to handle Justin. Love his connection that he's had with DJ and Cole. The growth there has been outstanding. Obviously, throws a beautiful deep ball. We saw those explosives throughout the year. Yeah.
Very, very, nothing surprising. He's just matter of fact, So he's playing things in the vest, but there's something, and some things that give me a reason to think that Justin is staying. And contrary to popular belief, and it's okay. You know what? I have no problem. I stand on what I stand on, and I see things. I read people. The Peter King situation. His last article before he retired. He set Twitter, Chicago Bears Twitter, on fire. Check this out.
If I am RyanPoles, you know what I have on my team? I have a B quarterback with about 10 significant holes. I probably, in the next 2 drafts, could take the first pick in this draft and turn it into, along with my other picks, a total of maybe 8 picks in the top 2 rounds in the next 2 drafts. I could do that. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you build a great team around a B quarterback instead of drafting a quarterback who might be an A quarterback, but it's the hardest thing to project in all of sports? I just believe that the smartest thing for them is to trade the pick.
And he said, and that's what he said. He goes, he thinks that they're gonna trade the pick, and man, it went ablaze. And then here's what happened. He had to come back, and he was on the Dan Patrick show again. And like, well, who'd you talk to? He goes, well, I didn't talk to anybody. And to me, Joe, it seemed kind of odd. But this is your last column. This is your last column before you retire. You're not going to want to go out with a bang. And you're gonna put that out. And I think what happened is RyanPoles or someone at the Bears called him up, just like they called Colin Cowherd up when he made that statement about Caleb's people not wanting to come to Chicago. Then he backtracked the next day. And remember, he said, he's like, well, and then so Peter King said, oh, I didn't talk to anybody. That's just what I think. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't talk. And he went in detail. Last year, I had a 45-minute conversation with RyanPoles. He goes, I'm not there now. Something just doesn't sit right with me about that. I think he was called, and they said, hey, you know what? We're trying to keep the value up. Come back. Just don't make it seem as just make it seem that this is what you're thinking. This is your opinion. So, your thoughts?
You know what? Peter King is typically a very well sourced guy.
Yeah.
And people like to talk to him. And I would say that it is very strange that he would backtrack like that, and to come out so strong, with that, trading the pick and getting that haul. And the scenario he laid out, was a good one. So I mean, I do think it's a little bit fishy. We know that last year Peter King was front and center, and and with the conversations he had with RyanPoles, and it's on the record that they talk and have talked. So I mean, so that is fishy.
Yeah, it really is. And then there's a couple other things that we had talked about on another show. My guy Nomad had brought these things up. And then watching Louis Riddick as well, it made sense to me because there was something that I couldn't put my finger on. All right. It's just a gut feeling I had, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I'm like this. I just don't. All the signs of everyone, and again, the mass media is trying to get you to believe all this stuff and blah, 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 which I don't follow them. I watch my eyes, and my eyes are better trained than most media members when it comes to football. Just because you watch it all the time doesn't mean you know how to Analyze it.
Right.
Okay. Why did they fire the entire offensive staff? If Justin Fields was a problem, why wouldn't you get rid of Justin Fields and bring a new quarterback in with his staff? If Justin Fields was a problem, you fire the offensive coordinator, you fire the offense. The only person who stayed, the running back coach, the wide receiver, the only person who stayed was the wide receiver, it was the O-line coach. So why did you fire all those guys if Justin Fields was a problem? It seems like a pretty fix, right? A pretty easy fix. If this is the cancer, if this is not that he's cancer doesn't mean that he's bad. But if this is the issue, take out the issue, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, it makes perfect sense.
I got two more for you, boss. I got two more for you, and people are not going to like it.
Okay. I'm ready.
Remember I just asked you who was that quarterback?
Yeah, Zach Wilson.
Why did the Bears let Justin Fields go and seek a trade? The New York Jets allowed Zach Wilson to go seek a trade. They allowed Jalen Johnson to go seek a trade, go see what he can get out of the market. Why didn't they let Justin go on the market and see what he can get and come back with the trades so they don't have to do the legwork? The work comes to them. He would have gone right to Atlanta. He would have gone right to New York. Pittsburgh, he would have gone right to Pittsburgh. He could have, or his agent would have been able to talk to them. So why didn't the Bears have him go out and seek a trade? It's done all the time. If you're parting ways with people,
right?
And then the last one. Did you see the podcast last week when he was with the St. Brown brothers?
Yeah, I did.
Where's Justin now?
At home. Where's he at?
He's on vacation.
Right. Yeah, but he said he went on vacation.
But he's not in the States. Where's he going? Do you remember where he went?
I do not know.
Italy. So he's going overseas.
Okay.
So Justin isn't around for any of this. No one can get him to break. No one can talk to him. No one can do anything unless you got his WhatsApp.
Right.
But you don't. So kind of convenient that he's gone in the middle of this. Now, usually players, you can go on vacation whenever you want, but usually don't players go right after the season? Yeah. Justin's not married. We know Justin isn't married. He doesn't have any kids that we know of. Okay. You could go after the season. You can go in January. But he waited till now when he knows RyanPoles is going to be answering a lot of questions and that people are going to try and be getting him on podcasts and all these other things. And maybe he was on a podcast just as I'm telling you, I think RyanPoles is a lot smarter than we think. Not that we think. I think he coordinated and choreographed this whole thing. Justin, can you know what? He doesn't have to be out of town. He doesn't have to be in Italy. He could have just said that so people stop calling him.
Right.
RyanPoles is giving us a master's class. This is why I don't think he's going. Because here's the thing. People are going to call. GM's going to do their due diligence and say, hey, I want the number one pick.
Right.
What are the GMs going to do if they feel RyanPoles wants that pick? They're going to say, all right, listen, you want that pick, but let me sweeten the pot. Let me sweeten the pot. Because you really want that one, but so do we. So let me sweeten the pot. He's driving the price up.
Right.
He's driving the price up. Because imagine if the scenario plays out where he trades 1-2 with Washington. And you won't get that crazy of a haul from Washington because you're moving up, but you'll get this first. And the most important thing is get next year's first as well. Get next year's first as well. Get a second round pick. Get this year's first because we'll swap. Next year's first, next year, and this year's second.
Right.
Okay. 3 assets. Okay, I'm cool with it. But then you could trade back from 2 to 3 with New England, 2 to 4 or 5 with someone else, 6. The Giants are at 6. Then you get, and the further they got to come up, the more picks they got to have, the more assets they have to give up.
Right.
So you could end up having 6, 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years. First-round picks in the next 3 years. That's exactly what Peter King's talking about. You build a team. Right. And I'll ask you this, Joe. You were around with Troy Aikman in the Cowboys, weren't you?
Yeah.
Is Troy Aikman a difference-making quarterback?
I would not say he was.
Who won those Super Bowls? Was it Troy Aikman or was it Eric Williams? Was it Nate Newton? Was it Larry Allen? Was it Mark Stepnoski? Was it Emmitt Smith? Was it Michael Irvin? Was it Russell Maryland? Was it Leon Lett? The team. This is exactly what Peter King is talking about, building a phenomenal team. Now, you can argue whether Justin's an A quarterback or a B quarterback, but if you build a great team around a B quarterback, and I don't think Justin's a B quarterback. I just think he hasn't been coached. So there's rumors going around like crazy. I just saw it. Did I save it? I should have saved it if I didn't. So there's a picture today and I didn't. Son of a biscuit. RyanPoles and Ian Cunningham were sitting with Jay Glazier. I don't know. It looked like it might have been lunch because they weren't dressed. They were dressed like they just come from the combine. So it looks like they were having lunch.
Okay.
Just thinking like, okay, so when Jay says something, whenever we hear what Jay's going to talk about, it's going to be he's got inside info.
Right.
Because I wish I had it, but I don't. What else do you think? So I think they're going to trade the number 1 pick. What about the number 9 pick? What do you think they're going to do with that?
Now the number 9 pick is tricky because I could see a few scenarios where they could, get offensive line help, get another defensive end, possibly. I'm really intrigued of the prospect of getting a guy like Brock Bowers. I do think having a tight end of his ilk, that caliber, can kind of give that offense a little bit, a different dimension with the 2 tight end sets, and Cole is a great tight end. He's a great blocker, and he's good enough at running routes and catching to where you really can't key in on one. So I think Brock Bowers could be one. I also like one of those receivers. I'm not necessarily set on Maserati Marv, but Neighbors and Odunze. Those are all high quality receivers that I would take.
So you like a possible offensive tackle, huh? I mean, I guess that way you kind of got to figure what you're going to do with the first pick.
Right. Yeah, I guess it really does depend on what's going to happen with that number 1 pick. So with number 9, I do think there's going to be somebody that they can plug and play right away.
Would you trade back from that number 9 slot? So let me preface it. If you keep Justin and trade the number 1 overall pick, however many times you want, twice, 3 times, whatever, okay, accumulate draft picks. What do you do with the number 9 pick? Do you trade back again, or do you stay there and pick the best player available? Because if you're at number 9, at least 3 quarterbacks are going, maybe 4.
Right.
Caleb, May,
Daniels.
Those are 3.
And here's the thing:
Marvin Harris is going up there too. That's 4.
You know what? A lot of people are talking about J.J. McCarthy too. So I could see a situation where somebody might reach on him on those picks as well. So you're talking about getting a really good player at number 9. Just
any average or like the second tier quarterback that gets thrown into the top 10 pushes everybody down.
Right.
Pushes all the good players down. So I don't think you'll have a Marvin Harris in there, but you will have a Romeo Dunze. All right. You will have a Malik Neighbors. You will have a Brock Bowers. You will have an Ole Fashanu. You will have a Joe Alt. What would you do? What would you do with the 9 pick if they keep Justin and trade back and get a haul?
You know what? I do think that when we talk about building the team, I do think that you got to get some offensive line help. I do think you need to draft a stud left tackle, and no knock against Braxton Jones. He was solid, but I think he would be better suited as a swing tackle. Really solidifying that depth of that offensive line. I kind of feel like it. Was he a 7th round draft pick? Right. I think we kind of 6th or 7th round draft pick. I think we kind of seen the ceiling, and And he's still young. Not to say that he can't improve, but I think if you get a stud offensive, left tackle to add to that mix to play opposite of Darnell Wright, I think you go, because you just mentioned it, with the Dallas Cowboys, with that offensive line, I do think you need to go out there and get some offensive line help.
He's a fifth round pick.
Fifth round pick. Okay. You look at the situation in Cincinnati, with Joe Burrow, he's great, but he can't stay healthy. And one of the reasons is they passed on Penei Sewell and drafted Jamar Chase. So it is what it is.
Yeah. What do you think about DN help? I mean, you stay there, or are you happy? Are you good? Because you want to get somebody on the other side of Sweat. So,
yeah, you do. I do think you want to get somebody on the other side of Sweat, but I think with that defense now, I think that defense is going to be in win now mode, and I would look for a veteran to come in. I would spend some money. I hear about them talking about Danielle Hunter, and I know he's about 29. But,
he'll be 30. Yeah,
30. Which is kind of but a 3-year deal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that could get it done.
I do too.
A 3-year deal could get it done, and I would be okay with a 3-year deal for Danielle Hunter at 30 years old. To play opposite of Montez Sweat.
They're gonna have a lot of meetings. They're gonna have a lot of meetings at the quarterback.
Right, exactly, and so I would definitely be okay with that.
One of the biggest reasons we want to go after you want to go after Danielle Hunter is that the Lions are rumored to be after Danielle Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want him with us, or do you want to face him twice a year?
Right, I would definitely want him.
We've faced him twice a year enough times with Minnesota, and for him to stay in the division. So in the salary cap, we got a bump. All right, the NFL got a bump. It's $255 instead of $240 something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then 2025, it's scheduled to go up to $280 something. So you have money for him. You have money to sign Jalen Johnson. You have money if you keep Justin to pay his 5th-year option. So let's go to that. Jalen Johnson, do you franchise tag him? Because RyanPoles said he's going to work out a deal with him. He's trying to avoid the tag. And what number do you come in at?
What's the highest paid corner making 20 right now?
21.
21. I think 18, 17 mil a year is hard to turn down. For him. He's had some injuries. Injuries. He had an injury. He had some injuries this past season. And then I think if we could come up with some be creative with the contract, maybe guarantee him a certain amount, and it escalates if he gets a certain amount of turnovers. I think that would be something to kind of keep the incentive and make him work for it and earn it a little bit more. Not that he hasn't, but I think that's a concern. Because he hasn't always been the ball hawk.
No, he had 1 interception going into last year, and then this past season he got 4. He actually dropped 2 of them. He should have had 6 or maybe 7, but he hasn't always been a ball hawk. So that would work against him. But in contract years, when you put up those numbers in that contract, even if it's only, it definitely slants. It puts things in your favor.
Well, here's the thing: who is the highest paid corner right now? Is it Jalen Ramsey?
Jair Alexander? I think.
Jair Alexander? I don't know. I think Jalen's better than Jair. I don't know.
Well, I don't know about better. I just think I think that I think he's a perfect fit for the system. I think he's a great fit for the system. He knows how to play a cover 2 corner. Right. He's done a really, really, really good job of that to this point.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna have to get awfully close to that 20 mil. Maybe 19. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna have to be close. He's not gonna want to leave any money on the table. So
no.
And if I was him, I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't. You're right. I ain't mad at him.
Right, me neither. So, I mean, I'm just, we speculating what could possibly get it done, and he's the only one. But they're gonna have to get awfully close to that 20 mil to keep him, without franchising him.
What do you do? How do you replace Eddie Jackson?
Well, I think you're definitely gonna go and draft some DBs this year. I like that. What we seen Poles do. He's doubled up on positions in drafts. He drafted Stevenson and Smith. In this last draft, they both played pretty solid. Stevenson was really really good, and Smith, he had some not injury, was an illness, that kind of kept him out. And but he started to come on later in the season, and their ability to find DB talent, with this coaching staff, it's been top notch. I've been very impressed with Brisker and Gordon and the jump that they took this year. So I don't doubt that they'll be able to find a solid free safety to come in and play right away.
Do you spend big money on a veteran free agent, or do you spend like a middle tier, middle of the road guy for a year while you draft a safety in hopes that he takes over next year?
Yeah, you know what? I think this is the time when you miss a guy like DeAndre Houston Carson.
Yeah, he could be a bridge guy.
Yeah, he could have been. He was a player for the Houston Texans this year. He started for them. He was a player for them. But that's you're gonna need somebody like that. And I don't know if they got that person on the team. So you're gonna need somebody like a DeAndre Houston Carson who can do some of everything. He's not just a person taking up a roster spot. He can play special teams. He can kind of do he does a lot for you. But I think they're definitely gonna get young. Try to get a young free safety in there. And it seems like it's a pretty deep year for some solid safeties. I don't necessarily think you need to go first round with one, but definitely second or third round. I think you want to get a blue chip player.
What do you want them? What do you want to happen at this combine? What do you want the Bears to come out? How do you want the Bears to come out of this combine? Do you want them having it set whether they decide? Do you want them having the best deal? Do you want that? What would you be happy with finding out after this combine for the Bears?
Well, what I would be happy with, I would definitely, I think that they're going to do the due diligence. I do think that they're going to make it seem like they are going to, if that's, that they want to take that, Caleb with the first pick. If that's not the case, I think this combine is, geared towards, driving up the price of their assets, whether it's Justin or whether it's the number one pick. And I think ultimately the situation that I would like to happen is them to come out with, a haul. I think it's, I think it would, in this right now, I think it's be beneficial to have this squared away, before, we get to draft night, for everybody, just to kind of see how the market's going to shape out. You got free agency and everything coming up as well. I think, the teams in the market for that number one pick are going to want to get a deal done right away.
Yeah, because it's going to allow them to adjust their board. Yeah, it's going to allow them to adjust their board. And I think that's, not that RyanPoles has to. He could take this all the way up to the Bears are on the clock.
He could. This is prerogative.
Yeah. All right, Bobby Brown.
Right.
But I think he wants to get that out of the way. He's talked about Justin living in the gray and not knowing, although I do think Justin knows. And again, I think it was choreographed, and which is why he's on vacation now. He's on vacation in Europe. Mm-hmm. It just what a coincidence. What a coincidence. Right. So Joe, this is a good point to wrap this up, man. So we had a lot of stuff to talk about. We covered a lot. Man, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really part of this is the media is trying to steer it. And you hear it in the questions. I read it in the articles.
Yeah,
They're saying it's
yeah,
a foregone conclusion that they're trading him.
yeah.
And when Ryan Poles said, "Hey, I want to do good by Justin," they're like, "Oh, that means they're trading him." And I'm like, "Why would you think that?" I said, "You think that because it fits your narrative." I said, "What if doing well by Justin means getting him an offensive lineman, getting him an extra receiver, getting him an offensive coordinator that has developed mobile quarterbacks, getting him a passing game coordinator, so when the offensive coordinator who's developed mobile quarterbacks leaves because he develops Justin, we have a guy who's been in the building who can just slide right into the offensive coordinator position and continue the continuity. Maybe that is do good by Justin. Maybe that's what that means." So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever side you're on, you hear people hear things differently.
And here's the thing: I don't think the problem I have, with other media outlets is that they use so much hyperbole, and like you said, it's a foregone conclusion, and they don't even leave the realm of possibility that that the pick could be traded, and they don't even talk about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And and so I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm still going to be a Bears fan. Saying no matter what they do, but you have no idea of what Ryan Poles is going to do, and the answers, that he's been giving, everybody in House has been giving has not given any information, and so, I mean, to speculate and make it a foregone conclusion is wild. It's wildly speculative, and it's kind of I would say kind of irresponsible to some degree.
Yeah, because if you just instead of just assuming, just what I mean, like I'm talking, and there's a I'm gonna come after, because my thing is this: like you don't create a narrative. If you're a reporter, you're creating a narrative, and you're steering
Right.
people. Say you don't know. Say
Right.
I feel. One of the podcasters like, "This is reality. Oh, this is happening. This is reality." I'm like, really? So how stupid are you going to look if they keep Justin Fields?
Right.
And so and I get it. You want to be right. You want to get hot takes, but people are going to look awful stupid. And I'll you know what? I'm going to have egg on my face too if they trade Justin Fields, and I'm going to have to eat crow.
Right.
But there's a lot that I'm seeing that a lot of people don't see, haven't seen, or just refuse to acknowledge. I gave you 4 good ones. I gave you 4 good ones today, and you got to look at that. Why isn't Justin Fields, or why is Justin Fields on vacation? Why didn't they let him seek a trade? Why fire the offensive staff if Justin is the problem? Just get rid of the problem.
And it's interesting that the place where the other offensive coordinator got hired, they're interested in trading for Justin.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things, man. And then last thing before we get out of here, remember and never forget, Ryan Poles said he is going to build this team through the draft.
Right.
He said that from Jump Street.
Right.
And what better way to build it than the scenario that I proposed earlier: 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and if you want 3 to 5 or 6, man, you're going to end up having 6 to 8 first-round picks in the next 3 to 4 years. You might have 7 in 3 years, maybe 9 in 4 years. How crazy would that be? That is the way you build a team. That is the way you fill all your holes in. And then if you're missing one, then you got plenty of draft capital to go get another trade and go get a guy that you need.
No doubt.
So again, I concur with you. At the end of the day, I'm going to be a Bears fan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I trust RyanPoles.
Mm-hmm.
I trust RyanPoles.
Right.
All right, nothing more, nothing less. You know, Mitch is saying maybe because he's staying. Yeah, it's Mitch. I'm telling you, there's all these things. Again, my biggest, I told you, those 4 things are huge. 3
Right.
especially.
Right.
But hey, well, we're gonna see how it plays out.
No
And
doubt.
and believe me, I'll be one of the first to say I told you so. And I got proof. We got it on. It's on film. It's on tape.
It's on
tape. And I'll tell you why. And I've given you reasons why. Not just like they're not trading. They're going to trade. They're going to keep him. I'm giving you reasons for what I saw. All right, he's doing a great job, but you can't cover everything. It's going to be one slip up here or there.
Right.
So, folks, that's it for this week here on Bears Den, a collaboration with Sports Zone Chicago and with War Media. Man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really, 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 really fun watching this play out.
Right.
So, guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. He's Joe Tanksley. Guys, you have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time.